Since the beginning of Formula 1, there have been a grand total of 52 drivers to have lost their lives driving these machines, as ever since motor racing began, there have been two words associated with each and every race: fast and dangerous. With every single event bringing the risk of injury, and at worst, the risk of losing your life. Since F1's inception back in 1950, there have been a total of 775 drivers, and when you combine that with those 52 that have lost their lives, that's a total of 6.7%, which at face value may not seem overly high. However, if you take a look around at a group of 30 people, maybe a school class for example, that's 2 in each and every group. Now fortunately for the drivers of today, safety has come a long way, with just one driver in the last 29 years being lost while piloting a modern F1 car, and with the loss of Jules Bianchi in 2014, even that was too much, with his accident sparking one of the most important safety advances in F1 history, meaning that not only are the current cars now the fastest they have ever been, but instead of being the most dangerous, they're the safest as well. So in modern day F1, it's widely accepted that at any given race weekend there's likely to be some sort of accident, or possibly more likely, multiple, with the severity of crashes always varying and no two incidents being the same. For example, you may get high-speed, high-impact collisions with drivers racing on the fastest corners on the calendar, and then you also have your sons of Russian billionaires that decide to yeet their car into a wall just 3 corners into their career, not to mention the goat of timely crashes himself. However, each of those 3 incidents that I've just shown you all have exactly the same safety measures that have been put in place to help reduce injury and save lives. After Jules Bianchi was killed due to injuries sustained at the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix, there was a big call for improvement to driver head protection, not forgetting Felipe Massa's serious crash where a spring from another car bounced on the track before striking him in the head. So in 2018, the FIA introduced the halo into a number of single-seater categories, and at the time, well, it didn't go down great, with many drivers stating that they feared it would impair their vision and make it more difficult to see on track. Though in the case of Lance Stroll, he said it wouldn't make a difference because he never looks where he's going anyway. But it wasn't just the drivers making complaints as well, with a number of old school hardcore fans complaining that it took away the danger from the sport. Yes, that's exactly what it was meant to do. Others were angry that it looked funny and made the cars look ugly, though I don't know why that's a complaint. F1 teams will always find a way to make cars look awful, all on their own. But anyway, the safety device was introduced, and ever since has been crucial in helping drivers walk away from crashes unscathed. So to set the scene, it's round 13 of 2018 at Spa-Francorchamps, one of the oldest, most historic and well-loved circuits on the calendar, but also one of the most dangerous, as while typical concerns are raised around Eau Rouge, there's actually another under-the-radar concern. As with a pit straight that's shorter than Kevin Hart and the shortest run to the first corner, it's not unusual to see Turn 1 incidents, especially if you had Romain Grosjean on the grid. And then in 2018, well, it happened again, as this time Mr. Podium himself, Nico Hülkenberg, forgot how to brake and ploughed into the back of Fernando Alonso. This then sent the Spaniard on an unavoidable collision course with the Sauber of Charles Leclerc, but instead of gently nudging into the side of him, well, physics determined that the McLaren would be going up and over, with the roll of the halo being clear to see in the aftermath of the incident, given that Alonso's car had made a beeline for Charles's head. Fast forward to 2021, and in the midst of a heated battle between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, the halo made another big appearance, as down at Turn 1 at the Italian Grand Prix, in the space of 3 seconds the pair went from side by side to being above and below, with Verstappen's Red Bull being launched by the curb up and over Hamilton's Mercedes, with the rear wheel on Max's car hitting the back of Lewis's head and starting to push it forward, with its momentum only stopped by the halo. Now just imagine for a second that there's no halo there. 750 kilograms of Formula 1 car doing its best to push your head away from your body. That's not ending well. Go forward another year and it's 2022, this time at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix, and after a poor start from George Russell, who still thought he was in the Williams, the Brit was alongside Zhou Guanyu. Zhou was spun across the front of Russell and flipped upside down before sliding along the track into the gravel and then into the crash fence. And this is where initially, safety failed, as the roll hoop, a feature designed to make sure the driver's head didn't hit the ground if a car got flipped over, well, disintegrated, and was destroyed almost instantly, leaving the halo as the part of the car that was propping it up and stopping Joe from being seriously injured, if not worse. However, each of these incidents so far, getting increasingly more serious in my opinion, are nothing compared to what I'm about to tell you about. So finally, the most notorious incident in recent F1 history. No, I'm not talking about Michael Massey making himself the most hated man on the planet, but instead the events of 2020 in Bahrain. As on lap 1 of the race, Romain Grosjean did something very Romain Grosjean, as he cut across the front of Daniil Kvyat, making contact which sent his Haas towards the barrier, or more accurately as it said, through the barrier, with the car then engulfed in flames within milliseconds, which in itself would obviously cause massive injuries and harm to the driver had it not been for the fireproof suit that Grosjean was wearing, an item that's often overlooked until we have an incident just like this. But of course, in order for the suit to be of any use, the driver first has to survive the impact, which in this case was due to the halo, as the device allowed Grosjean's car to penetrate through the barrier, moving the metal out of the way to protect his head. However, the halo isn't everything, as there are countless other safety elements with some clearly on display in this crash. For example, the survival cell, a part of the car that's designed so that even if the rest of it is completely destroyed, like I'm talking Thanos snapped into millions of tiny particles of dust, that survival cell will live on, with its sole purpose of protecting the driver. And it's not just Grosjean ploughing through a barrier where the survival cell can be seen in action. Take Mick Schumacher in Saudi Arabia, admittedly doing what he does best, destroying an F1 car, but importantly from this incident the part that remains intact is the survival cell. And then you have even more safety. Take something like the hands device, brought in as a measure to reduce how much a driver's head could move in an incident, effectively working as a neck brace to reduce the chance of injury to a driver's brain. Now these are just some of the major items that we see taking credit when drivers have big crashes. But there are countless other items that are essential to making modern day F1 safe. Wheel tethers, safety tests, the improvement of barrier safety, something that clearly we haven't even touched on, but the list goes on. And I think for me, that Romain Grosjean crash in Bahrain really sums it all up. Anyways, that is all for now. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, do give it a thumbs up and get yourself subscribed to the channel. But until next time, take care.